Well, a little snippet of how things happen. I'm a one-man operation, so not really sure how the camera's gonna pick me up. But I already did the other side. And there is a lot of trial and error figuring out how much glue to have on there. Now I hope this is worth it to you, because I had to turn down my gospel music because YouTube will kick it. It's been known that it's about a quarter mile to the gate. If I'm in a real good mood, you'll hear that gospel music all the way at the gate. Jamming for Jesus, that's what I say. There's a fine line of bringing it to the edge, because the more that hangs out, well, now I have no idea if my head was in the way there or not. Now the big key is getting the lines straight. That is just what makes it crisp. This Bible I'm working on is a neighbor has brought over several, always down the road a little ways, but this is their third one. And this one is actually his mother. Now the whole key is it gets right on the line. When you go to turning edges and turning corners, a lot of it has to do with how straight this liner piece is, and I'm not sure how to put this part in words, but where those corners sit, it's everything about the corners coming good. You can't really see that, but I'm pulling that in just ever so slightly. This little gizmo right here is just wonderful. I think it's actually a tool for laying wallpaper. It's got little grit lines across there, and it lets you pull with great controllability, to tell you the truth. Now look, it's got a little bit on that one side. Usually I do this on the other side, but I'll let you see what I'm doing. And this has a 1/2 inch turnover all the way around. And there's some things I can't change the position I do, so let me wibble wobble just a minute or two there. I'll do some things more elemental that I do to learn to keep myself on track. This is a weird measurement. It comes out a little over an inch, and ideally I don't want my glue to pass over. It's not the end of the world if it does. But it's kind of a guide. And I'm just going, if you're in here now, you're in here for the long haul, so I'll just show you the different tricks I've come up with. So that's 3 of them. That's 4 of them. And it's just what I do. They say necessity is the mother of all inventions. Well, the corners, turning the edges isn't that hard. But the corner work I'm in all the groups about rebinders and beginners and experts, and all are agreed that the turning corners is really the most difficult part, except for maybe skiving the leather, but I have a bell skiver, so it does a couple of things. Super consistent is the big thing. Where I get my leather, this right here is some of the prettiest grained goat. I went and figured out that they buy it 1,000 square feet at a time. I had noticed it kind of comes in waves. So now when I find one I like, I go down and buy a ample supply. Bought the last of this. Whole key is that straight and that other line straight in a perfect world. And it hinges on that gluing down that other part. Now, I'm going to do this, but I want you to know you're in my way. Yeah, I'm talking to you, the camera. Now, I do not profess, if you're watching and wanting to learn, I don't profess to be the one you should watch to learn. I am 100+ Bibles in, and still I, with a small way, alter what I do in regards to my corners, because it's just like, I don't know, I see some of these guys posting their third Bible. I think they must be photoshopping it, because it looks better than anything I do. Don't get me wrong, I'm a little bit I'm not a perfectionist or OCD by any means, but when I work I am a little bit. I guess you just kind of got to be. See, now this little gizmo, man, it just lets you, because you want to crease, and the key is you want it straight. And you want this to end straight. It has to do with affecting your corners. This kind of leather, it doesn't hurt it to get wet. I don't know if you can see the edge over here, but I'm working on some tiles, 4 tiles put together. And what it does is let me pull to the edge without getting glue all over the edge. And it's kind of, I used to do work where you used cement concrete, that ain't the right word, cement concrete, whatever it is. And it was real particular as far as you didn't want to get it everywhere. I got a feeling I better turn that music off, because if YouTube picks it up, oh, they get all kind of sad. All kind of upset. Well, I guess that's in there. I'm sure my big head's getting in there messing with things as well. It's kind of hard to tell, but I'm pushing that a little bit right there, because you learn to look, and that's just a wee bit off. Of course, you push the whole thing because it kind of snugs it as it turns over. Depends on the leather I'm using. Sometimes I skive both pieces, but this is cheap, bought for the purpose of lining, and it's real flexible and thin, nice and thin. Leather measures by ounces. See, I've got just a little winky right there. That's a technical term. so slightly pulling it over. Just staying 100% right there. See, now I'm pulling back on it just ever so slightly. Well, we're talking real small amounts though. Last side. Now, it's not the end of the world if glue crosses over. It will a little bit. It's really, I want to make sure I get to that point. Hey, come on. The whole world is watching here. Behave. I don't know about the whole world, but both of my subscribers are watching. Now again, I'm not trying to put this out there to show you how to do it. I think a person can watch and learn. I'm sure you watch more expert people. You watch Frost Leather, see him do it. You learn a lot from him, just kind of steer away from his doctrine. Yeah. Nice and square. Now we put the rounded corners in. And here's what I do. Again, this is just what I come up with. There's a 1-inch notch and a 3/4 inch notch. So which one do you use? Mostly it depends on your mood. So I can see that just ever so slightly needs to come over, because that even spacing, it plays a lot with corner work. I kind of noticed when I made these jigs, it was really for keeping the corner work straight. But then I noticed it really, I'm not sure how to say this, but it amplifies if that line is different each way. If this measurement here, if this has folded over any different, because that affects your corners. All right, I don't talk as much here. And frankly, if you're seeing this, I'm already finished. And it went well. If you ain't seeing this, well, you're not going to know for one thing. But it will mean I embarrassed myself. There's a fine line in how much glue as well, because too much, you'll be holding it down forever. Not enough, it's not going to stick. Or let me back up, it'll stick, but if you don't have enough, it's not going to have any, it needs to have kind of like lubrication it needs to be enough in there that it's not tacky yet, and you can move things around. Aiming for the center right there is what I'm doing. You might say, I don't do it that way. That's all right. You might say, well, so-and-so, he don't do it that way. That's all right, too. I like to learn from people, but at the same time, you kind of got to develop your own as well, you know. See, now I got 4 lobes. That one's always the problem, so it's always the one I'm trying to refine the process. But I always start on this side, and I'm splitting each one. Yeah. And if you do it right, this side's not bowing up already. If you ain't got it skived enough, that stuff will bow right back up. And you literally dig down in there. These are just what I use. They're, what do they call those? They're real thin blades. I had them for something else I used to do. And I'm going to split that one again. And they're not sharp. I've never changed the blade since I started using them for this. I continually grind all the glue off, but they're not made, I don't use them for cutting. I got the back edge going. And so far, I've never put the wrong edge down, but you might want to pay attention. Okay. Now, oddly enough, see all that glue? Yeah, I guess you can see. Doing two things right here. Wiping all the glue off. But I'm also getting the leather good and, it's getting wet in the process. Kind of a win-win. And I'm straightening out those edges. Not the edges, the grooves. Because again, this is the anybody that knows, about it, this is the part you look at to see how their work is. I'm gonna put that one more time. When I get done, I haven't decided if I'm gonna film all four corners. When I get done, I'm gonna come back and see, that's just holding a little bit of pressure on there. I'll come back and clean them out, straighten them out one more time. It'll still be damp. And I leave them bottles on there just for a little bit. The leather don't really bow up, but to me it ain't hurting nothing. It keeps them, see, that's just a little light. I need just a smidgen more. It's enough glue to hold it, but really it's kind of you want a little bit of slippery factor in there so you can move the leather around. Not sure if you can see. I'm going to take a little break and see, but I get it right to the edge. That way I can get right up against it. And each time you do this, you're aiming for the center. See how it's bowing the wrong way? And then you're wanting to start at the center and work up center-wise. That's what'll keep them straight. Of course, I guess one of the things a person's really got to know is right now is a good time to not have too much coffee in you. It's kind of, you can't really see it, but I'm putting a lot of pressure mostly right in here because that's where the fold is happening. Then I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to go ahead and film all four. I figure if you're still here, you're saying, hey, do all four. If you got bored, you already left. My little heater's kicked on. Literally moving those around. Not a lot, but some. The center. See, if you don't skive enough, this right here is where all the fits and troubles come in. And I think technically I could skive a little more off, and there's a kind of a happy medium where I'm happy and the leather is somewhat cooperative. This might be one of them times when you have to hold your mouth just right. That glue gets on them blades. I meant to clean them before I did this. The blades will be twice as thick just because of the gooped up glue. This tool, I don't know what it is, to tell you the truth. I bought it at a leather auction, an auction of a leather shop. Never had much of a use for it. And I made sure the other edge is blunt, but I put that tape on there just because I put a fair amount of pressure on there. pull it just ever so slightly. And be happy with that right there. This glue is a water-based glue. Totally different than contact cement. That's the word I was looking for a while ago. As far as it being wet, it's not really a big deal. Yeah, I'm into the third turn. Usually that's when I start misplacing everything. One of these is let out longer than the other one. And I don't know if you can see, but I got that edge running just real close to the edge of the liner piece of the leather. I can learn to tell. That's not gonna play nice. See, this one's off. So I actually correct it with where I dig in. This one's off too. Actually push just a little bit right there. I've got just a little right there. Tell you what, there's a lot of feeling your way through this too. Split that one. Split that one. Person doesn't have to rush this, but if you stop for lunch and that glue dries, well, then you got problems. As a rule, once I start gluing this, there's no stopping. The place is on fire. We'll give it a minute. I'll be out. A little humor there. Straightening. Turns. I used to squash them. I don't squash them anymore. I'll show you what I mean in a minute. Get them to that place. Not even, but I used to roll over this. Determined they needed to be absolutely flat. I just kind of like it better this way. Glue off of there. The home stretch. You know, I thought about making this video and I thought, dude, you're going to wind up not using it because usually there's some kind of major battle going on in the process here somewhere, like, why did it do that? Now I don't want to jinx it on the last one though. If you can't tell, I'm pushing the glue all up into the recesses there, making sure it's good and glue, but it's also kind of a lubricating thing. All right. By faith, we'll throw that one away and say we're not going to need it again. A little applicator. The middle's the key. Perfect world, if it's skived right, the distance that you wind up with is going to be equal. I don't know if you've learned it or not. This world ain't perfect. Yeah, I've been thinking about what I've been saying while I'm making this video, and now it's paramount to say you do have to hold your mouth just right. If you've never worked with something that requires tools, you don't understand. Clicking a mouse, it's not a big deal. Split it. Come on. The whole world's watching here. The key's down the middle. You don't want to see what that part of the bench looks like. I don't guess I've ever showed my shop on any of my videos though. I live out in the country. About 20 minutes to anywhere in town, 30 minutes to the far side. And 5 acres, nothing fancy. I call it a humble place, but it's peace and quiet. And there is a shop building. When I first moved out here, I did gun gear, leatherwork gun gear. But the little building, I think it's about 25 by 40, something like that. It's plenty big, but sure is nice. Peace and quiet. See how that came up on me? Well, that ain't playing nice. There we go. When there's problems, the last corner I pulled out what's called a bone folder. But when the corner's not round, you can inch it with this thing, just ever so slightly. And but this one's gone pretty smooth, to tell you the truth. All right. Well, it's pretty good. For me, man, I see what some guys, their corner work is like, wow. Of course, they're $400 rebinds. You might say, you charge $89 for a rebind. Anybody that knows anything knows that's low. And eventually it's got to go up. But I had a guy the other day told me he wanted, after I had his Bible, told me I wanted it like this guy's, the way he does it. His average rebind was $1,000. That's just a little wanky right there. I sure don't know how to explain this part, but I've redone a bunch of them because I'm like, you know, especially when I first started. And, you know, there's a certain, I don't know what to say. So there's a certain, I guess, a standard that I want. But there's certain things that I accept. In a perfect world, that should be back just smidgen. But that's pretty good, though. I always hold it up, and what I'm looking for on the back is the roundness of the corners. And that's still something I'm really, really working on. And it's more, it's not so much right here, it's more the getting it cut right, laid out right, and getting that corner glued just perfect. Yeah, I think that'll be pretty good for me. A little glue on there. A lot of cleaning up to go yet. That's glue as well. Now I need to see if you can even see what I'm talking about. Gadgets and gizmos. And that's about what I shoot for right there. Well, if you're still here, congratulations. But now I turn that off, and I think it's going to be good enough to post. Lord bless you.